So Zach, how much did you really like Midsummer?
I loved the atmosphere. It was kind of one of those films that the whole time I was just dreading what was going to happen. I think Ari Aster is such a master at just building a world and creating just this terrifying kind of. I liked it.
I see, I thought it was all right. I think I gave it like 3 stars. I wasn't on the episode that you guys reviewed it because I think I was out of town at the time. But when I came back, I'm pretty sure if you go back a couple episodes, you see me say, it's not this movie that bothers me. It's knowing that there's going to be like 20 movies that tried to be this movie coming out.
Yeah.
Well, we sure as fuck watched one of those this week, Zach.
We did watch one of those. It was very clearly trying to do a Midsummer here, very much taking cues from that film. Not as successful.
After our fun little theme song, come back and hear us talk about the Wrong Turn remake, which if you haven't seen it, you're probably like, wait, what? How is that a Midsummer ripoff? Oh, we're going to tell you. We're going to tell you.
So all that and more this week on another Miserable Podcast. All right, welcome everybody to another Miserable Podcast, Horror Decomposed, the pumpkin-scented intersection of horror and pop culture. Joining me today, my esteemed colleague, Professor Casey.
Hey, what's up, dude? Thanks for making me watch garbage this week.
No problem. And my name is Zach. Chris is not with us today because it's his birthday. Happy birthday, Chris.
Yes, happy birthday, Chris. You dodged a bullet on this one. My God.
You know what, Casey? This is retribution for the Turning and The Grudge last year, which I had to put up with. And this is better than those movies. So not by a lot, but it's better. It's better.
I don't know, man.
So let's talk about, before we get into Wrong Turn 2021, let's talk about the Wrong Turn franchise. So Wrong Turn is a franchise near and dear to my heart. It's one of the first kind of horror series I got into. I remember renting the first one at the video store, I think it came out in 2003. So I was like 12. I was getting into horror movies. I was just kind of getting into horror movies. I'd seen a few, obviously, but like, this is kind of my first kind of like a exploration. I feel like, that was the era when you would go into a video store and you would see an artwork, you'd see like whatever DVD that like appealed to you most, especially in the horror genre, and you go, I want to rent that.
So you just saw a picture of Eliza Dushku and are like, all right.
Yeah, I was like, Elijah Dushku. Okay, well, I actually read the back of the DVD and I was like, this sounds cool. And I knew Elijah Dushku, I guess mainly from Bring It On at that point. And so I rented it and I really dug it. And I remember being excited when I went to the video store like a year or two later and I saw that there was a sequel, because the internet was still, it was happening, but it was early days. I mean, early-ish. Back in like 03, 04. So
for some reason, sequels were never on my radar, and there's five sequels.
I gotta say, you need to check out the sequels because they're fun. You will dig them. Number 2 takes place in the same kind of wooded area, but it's like they're doing a reality competition show. They house like a reality competition show in this area.
Okay.
It does not go well. It's a really kind of fun cast of characters. It's great. The third one, I don't remember as much, but it's about some prisoners that I think they like their bus like crashes and they escape and they have run-ins with the inbred cannibals here. I remember liking that one as well, but Henry Rollins is in the second one. He's great. So I don't remember part 4, but I did see it. It was a prequel, and I haven't seen 5 and 6. So that's kind of where I dropped up, but I really do remember, especially for like the first 2 and the third one, like just being really excited that Wrong Turn was being turned into a franchise, is because I really dug the first 2. And so it hurts me. When I found out they were doing a reboot, and it was being written by Alan B. McElroy, who wrote the first one, which I just rewatched the other day, and we'll get into that. It still holds up. It's great. I
Says
was
you.
kind of, I was. You didn't like the first Wrong Turn?
Okay, dude, come on. Wrong Turn is just Hills Have Eyes in the fucking forest. It's a ripoff. This wasn't an original movie ever to begin with, but I thought the first one was fun.
It's better than the remake of Hills Have Eyes, which came out in what, 05?
I don't know about that. I don't
It
know about
is.
that.
It is. It is. It is. Trust me, it's a lot more fun. You have to rewatch it, and
We
I
need to
highly
make this
recommend.
bold for our listeners, which is better.
I highly recommend checking out the direct to video sequels. They're, especially the first few. They're pretty great. But that's not what we're here to talk about today.
God, no.
We are here to talk about the reboot. So again, it is written by Alan B. McElroy. And when when you think rebooting Wrong Turn, I understand that it like got to like such a high number that I guess in this day and age, it's not like Friday the 13th, where it's kind of cool to have like Friday the 13th Part 9 or whatever. It's like you want to just kind of, that's a high number. Let's just start over. But and it'd been, I think, like, I don't know, at least 5 years since the last one. This is an odd reboot. It's like they looked at Midsommar and they were like, let's take this in a different direction. So there are no inbred cannibals in this. Instead, what we have is kind of like a mountain men village cult.
Yeah. So you know how I shit? See, like my biggest gripe with Midsommar is that it was basically just remaking a 70s cannibal movie. It was just making the cannibals like European people instead. This same thing. This is just a cannibal movie, but you don't really get all that much cannibalism, and it's just
This isn't a
people
cannibal
that
movie.
live in the forest. They're
I don't think there's cannibalism in this at all, is there?
the eyeless people eat people at the end. Yeah. There's some cannibalism.
Oh, like the people that are like barely. Yeah, it's not really a cannibalism movie like the original Wrong Turn was.
No, but I mean they are eating people, but they just don't know what they're eating. Also, this is really offensive to blind people. We'll talk about that later. I'm assuming we may have some blind listeners because we're like television to them. I don't know, but kind of offensive some of the stuff that happened in here. But yeah, dude, every gripe I had about Midsommar is amplified times like 10. Okay, so like this movie's too fucking long, just like Midsommar. A lot of the characters suck, and I don't root for them, just like Midsommar.
Yeah, I gotta say, this has the distinction of housing maybe the most unlikable group of like 20-somethings in a horror movie that I have ever seen. And that's quite the feat. Because in most of these, like, slasher, whatever, like, especially like in the last 20 years, slasher horror movies, the group of like kids, 20-somethings, they're terrible. But this is like ungodly bad. And I don't know. And this is written by Alan B. McElroy. If you watch the original Wrong Turn, the characters, especially like the main four, are likable. They have, distinct characteristics and idiosyncrasies. They feel like real people. You're rooting for them to get out of it. They're not like annoying or overbearing.
What's funny though,
it helps that they had good actors. But
is like, this is your complaint. Multiple episodes. In fact, you just said this.
In Willy's Wonderland.
In Willy's Wonderland. And yes, they are worse.
That group was better. That group was better.
Funhouse Massacre, which I think we all said it as well. Better than this group. Yeah.
I will say, guys, this movie is so bad it's good. It's just a little long. It's 2 hours. So but like, honestly, you will laugh your ass off at this film.
I think it's so bad it's boring. I disagree, and I would say don't watch this under any circumstances.
It's not like Troll 2 fun, but I did have some really big laughs in this movie. So let's get into it. Our feature scare this week is Wrong Turn. All right, so before we get into spoilers, we've talked a bit about our initial thoughts, so let's say a few more things, and then we'll just break down this whole movie.
Yeah, just listen to us shit on it. Don't even watch it. Just listen to us shit on it.
Yeah, I'm gonna, for the few people that do want to watch it and check it out, by all means, you'll get some laughs out of it. Just know that it goes on forever.
Yeah, yeah. You think it ends like 20 times and it doesn't. Okay, so since we're not, so before spoilers, just to give them a gauge, Zach, we got to give them a little bit of a gauge.
Yeah.
What did you rate this on Letterboxd?
I rated it 1.5 stars.
I rated it 1 star on Letterboxd.
Yeah.
And as someone that has Encino Man as 5 stars on Letterboxd, I think you know what to expect. So it takes a lot for me to hate a movie.
The half star was because it made me laugh.
Yeah, you know, I feel like it wasn't bad enough to get just a half star instead of 1 star, because I did laugh at some stuff involving a log that we're going to talk about.
Oh God, the log. You know, one more thing about the Wrong Turn franchise before we get into this. For me, when Wrong Turn came out, you know, it felt like sort of a bridge between that kind of the Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer era of horror that took over the mid to late 90s that I know Casey's not a fan of.
No, this was a shining light in a pile of that shit. Actually.
I felt like Wrong Turn was sort of a bridge between that and like the golden age of like slashers in the 80s. It's not technically a slasher, but it kind of felt like bridging those two kind of eras. It was harkening back, I felt like, to that era.
Right.
But still kind of had some of the sensibilities of the mid to late 90s. It was still shaking some of that stuff off. But I do feel like it kind of paved the path forward. It was one of those franchises that paved the path forward kind of out of that era. And it really does hold up if you check it out. So I will talk a little bit more about that after we get into the 2021 reboot. But yeah, so I have a lot of fond memories of the Wrong Turn franchise. So that's why this reboot was such a disappointment. But let's get into it. So Matthew Modine is in this movie.
Yeah. I guess he had some free time after Stranger Things.
Matthew Modine, his scenes feel so out of place in this movie. It feels like Matthew Modine was like making breakfast and they called him up and they're like, "Hey Matt, you want to do this movie?" And he's like, "Well, I'm making breakfast, but if you want to come over in my house and film some shit, sure." And they're like, "Okay, we might need you to do more than that, but okay." So they came over there and they gave him like 1 page of script and they're like, your daughter's missing." And he's like, "All right, I'm just going to like improv the shit out of this."
Yeah.
So, it just looks like he's playing himself and his daughter's missing. It's so.
This looks like one of those 80s action movies that would get Cameron Mitchell and they would film Cameron Mitchell at his own house, sitting in his own den and like use the footage and say, "Oh, Cameron Mitchell's in this film as the police chief." Those of you that are familiar with Red Letter Media, Best of the Worst, you'll know what I'm talking about. And or the movie Deadly Prey, because it happens in there. But yeah, this is like a straight to video 80s cash-in strategy. They're counting on Matthew Modine to put some butts in seats. I don't know if that's exactly what you want to do. I mean, yeah.
Cutthroat Island, man. Cutthroat Island.
Yeah. I mean, why not just get Gina Davis at that point?
It would have been so much better if this was Gina Davis. Not against Matthew Modine. He's great. And, you know, I loved him in Stranger Things over the last few years. Great actor, but he's not doing anything in this movie. And they gave him nothing to work with. He literally just feels like he's playing himself and he just walked onto the set.
Yeah. I've said many times, I'm kind of sick of like major horror releases or just horror releases in general being all over Stranger Things' dick. And this casting is a little bit of being on Stranger Things' dick. But, you know, hey, they get points for not setting this in the 80s like fucking everything else lately.
I mean, that wouldn't have made this movie any worse.
No, actually, it would be better because all the stupid phone shit wouldn't be happening.
Yeah, so this movie starts off with like a flash forward. I guess it's like 6 months, or not 6 months, 6 weeks after this group of kids has disappeared. Matthew Modine is just wandering about this town, just asking people if they've seen his daughter.
So, again, Zach, hold on. Hold the fuck on. Your daughter, you're not a parent right now, but your daughter goes missing. That you know of. But your daughter goes missing. And you wait 6 weeks to go look for her? 6 weeks? Motherfucker grew a full beard.
He's like,
her boyfriend,
does he have a full beard? Her
boyfriend has a full beard.
Matthew
No,
Modine is he's a silver fox in this movie, man. He's just
no,
clean
no, no.
shaven and
Let's just say there's a girlfriend and a boyfriend in this movie, and the girlfriend's the daughter. The boyfriend has a full beard, like he's fucking Rip Van Winkle by the time this guy finds him. I think it was a lot longer than 6 weeks, but I don't know. Maybe he just grows a beard really fast.
I mean, some people do. I couldn't grow that much in 6
Nah,
weeks.
me either.
I don't know if I can grow a beard, to be honest.
Definitely not like full on Macho Man Randy Savage beard in
No.
in 6 weeks. No.
Oh gosh. Okay, so Matthew Modine is in this town. I guess they're by the Appalachian Mountains. He's trying to find his daughter. The locals aren't really helping him very much. And then we cut to 6 weeks earlier, and we see this group of kids. This is like there's no humor in this movie except unintentional. There's no jokes here. These characters feel like they have no personalities. Like they don't have any uniqueness about them at all.
Oh no, they have personalities. It's asshole. Like
yeah, well, yeah, it's
everyone.
like a one note, but it doesn't even feel that distinct. You like I could barely like I only know their names because I looked at the IMDb credits and like wrote down their names. Like I don't know these characters at all. The lead, the final girl, does her best, but she's really given nothing to work with. You find out like nothing about her character. I think there's one point where she calls her dad and is like, I'll tell you what decision I make. And I don't even know what decision that was about. I don't know if that's even referenced or comes back again.
It was something about taking an office job instead of being a barista.
Oh gosh. It's so nothing. And
Right.
That's why I don't remember it, because like it doesn't amount to anything. And they like tease it as something.
The only reason I remember is I watched it more recently than you did.
Yeah, so this character, her name is Jen Shaw, played by actress Charlotte Vega. She does her best. This is not her fault. Her character is written terribly. The rest of the actors, I gotta say, I did not love Darius. I wanted to like him, but his character was annoying as hell.
And he's kind of a dick.
Yeah. And then the rest of the characters, the dude that played the character Adam,
he was a piece of shit.
And his girlfriend Mila, just really annoying. The other two guys were just kind of there.
Everyone that's in this movie is like the kind of person that you'll like, say your friend has a party at their house and you meet this person and you talk to them and you're like, I never want to talk to this person again. I'm going to go stand over here now. That's every person in this movie.
Yeah. Guys, we don't like tearing apart movies. I'm just going to say that right now. We really don't like to do that. We like to embrace and celebrate awesome horror.
I love tearing apart movies. And this needs it.
Yeah, if it's worth it, we're not going to hold back any punches. And we know how much work goes into making a movie, but when there's this many issues with it, it needs to be kind of pointed out.
Okay, so, Zach, you know what I hate the most in a fucking movie? And
yeah,
I hate, oh my God, what are we going to do scenes that last for a quarter of the movie's runtime? Yeah, this movie's 2 hours. I'd say I'm being generous saying that oh my God, what are we going to do scenes take up a quarter of this movie? Because I feel like it's more than that.
Yeah, when I looked at the runtime for this, I was like, oh no. Like I knew right away. I was like, this does not need to be 2 hours. The first wrong turn is like 1 hour and 23 minutes. It's perfectly paced.
Yeah.
There's just not one thing memorable about the characters in this movie. Within like 10 minutes of Wrong Turn, the characters are way more memorable than anybody in this movie. So like, I don't know. And this is written by the same guy and he's a good writer. So I don't know what happened here. If you just kind of shat this one out and really wasn't, they're like, make it like Midsummer. And he was like, all right. And he just shat something out that you didn't really give a shit about.
Okay. All the characters in Midsummer, whiny dick faces. Kind of the same thing.
They're way better than this. There's depth to their characters. The relationship between Florence Pugh's character and her boyfriend is very realistic, like too realistic almost. The characters there are memorable. You know who they are. You don't want them to die necessarily. So like, not as much as this. They're not great, but
oh God, I was rooting for the fucking log, Zach. I was rooting for the log.
I mean, in Midsummer, you're rooting for Florence Pugh. Her boyfriend's not the best, and what's going on with her friends? They're just horn dogs. But those characters are memorable. They have.
I was rooting for the horn dogs to get out of there. Actually, that was
I'm just saying, and like, you're just thrown into this. You don't get to know these characters at all. The dialogue is like nothing. So they go into this town. They're going to the Appalachian Mountains just to do some hiking, I guess. They're all coupled up. And they go to this bar and they're immediately kind of given side eyes and by this group of, locals. And one of the characters, Adam, like I think says, like one of the locals comes over and kind of gives them somewhat of a warning. And Adam makes some sort of snide comment. And so it's just kind of a hostile confrontation. They continue to stay at this bar after that confrontation for like a bit longer. And I'm like, I would have just left. I don't know why you're sticking around if someone does not want you there.
This Adam guy, like, I know he's supposed to be the piece of shit, but he's like the piece of shit. Like, he's, oh God, but every character doesn't feel all that much different than him.
No, not really. So
they just cry more.
So they leave this bar and they see this like shadowy figure at this car.
So Adam chucks the bottle at him.
Yeah, and then he just disappears, and that's all there is to it. It could have been a cool scene. Nothing to it.
It wasn't. Yeah.
Then they stay at a motel because they feel super welcome in this town. And then the girl like goes out for a jog in the morning, even though they're about to engage on a long ass hike.
And they were threatened for murder, kind of in the bar.
And she buys some like a bangle, some jewelry from some local selling something.
Oh, this is beautiful. It's like leather wrapped around a nail. Yeah.
It's like the ugliest bracelet you've ever seen. I mean, it's
right.
I don't mind like rustic jewelry. I don't wear jewelry, but like it could have been a little nicer looking. So now we get into, so she's given a warning by the lady at the hotel they stay at, that stick to the trail when you're hiking. They disregard that like almost immediately.
It's like, motherfuckers, did you watch them? Okay, first of all, no, I know all of these people never saw American Werewolf in London because they fucking suck. And of course they wouldn't watch a cinematic masterpiece like that. When someone says stay on the road, stay on the fucking road, especially when you're hiking and these people know the area. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they do not stay on the road. So her boyfriend is like, oh, I don't even remember what the excuse is. It was just like, let's go over here.
Some part washes out or something.
Yeah.
That they could easily like climb over a rock and get around, but they decided to like go over this whole path instead. It's just like, okay, whatever, dude.
For listeners' reference, Casey is playing the Nintendo Switch while reviewing this movie. That's how much she hates this thing.
Fucking hate this movie.
So they go off the beaten path, and like right away, we get some Final Destination action. This one of the best scenes of this movie. A huge ass log is like chucked down this hill, and they start running down the hill like Looney Tunes style.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a log rolling at you. Okay. Okay.
It looks like it is just chucked by God or whatever force is out there.
The one thing about this group though is they're really clumsy. Like they're constantly tripping whenever they're running.
Yeah.
And so this is like a Three Stooges routine almost, like them running from this fucking log. It's just a log rolling at them. I don't know. Maybe go to the right, maybe go to the left, get around the rock. No, let's run down the hill really fast to get away from this log.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big log, but like, I feel like just, serpentine, like,
or at least go that way. Just turn to the left or right. God damn it.
Go behind another tree.
Yeah, and so of course a tree stops it, but so does one of the campers' faces.
One dude gets pinned in the tree and his face is smashed. He kind of looks like Garrett Morris in The Stuff when you see a close-up of his face.
If you look at the practical effects in this movie and you watch the scene in Midsummer where the people get thrown off the cliff and smashed and all that, it's the exact same style of practical effects. So they're not even trying to be unique there. It's that squicky shoot up bubblegum look for shit.
The practical effects I think are solid. That's probably the only part of this film that I think is decent, but that's it. So it just comes out of nowhere. This log is just, I guess it's supposed to have been thrown by this village, these mountain men, but
yeah,
it doesn't make any sense. You don't see anyone throw it. It looks like God tosses this log at them. It's like, fuck this movie.
Okay,
that's
you
what
would
it
have
feels
to be
like.
The mighty fucking Hercules to throw this giant ass log.
It literally feels like the whatever God you believe in was watching this movie and was like, oh fuck this shit. He threw a log down.
You know what? That's I wish it was successful, like more successful. It only took out one of them, you know?
So yeah, so it's so it kills
God
one of
damn.
these guys. So there's two of them that were it was like a gay relationship, which is great.
And
But
so they reduced the other gay guy to a crying stereotype for the
yeah,
rest
of course,
of the movie.
he's just whiny and annoying as much as the rest of them. And it tries to establish earlier, like in this bar scene with one of the locals, that these kids are like very educated. They have really good jobs. They, they're not like
yeah.
whiny. They try to like make it seem like they're not like entitled millennials, but that's exactly what they come across as.
But the point is that their jobs are bullshit, like to the average working man, and so like they have, these aren't like survival jobs.
It's just weird that it tries to set this precedent that these aren't, spoiled millennial Gen Z kids. We work hard, and then like the entire movie, they're just whining and whining and whining.
Yeah, for 2 hours. Oh my god, what are we gonna do?
So that was the log scene. Pretty hilarious. They do come across kind of different traps, which is the thing in the first Strong Turn. These traps are nowhere near as cool. It's mainly just like holes.
No, this is like Ewok bullshit.
Yeah, so Adam is like taking them in like a hole, and he's captured by two of these cultists. They come across this group again, and Adam is like tied up on like this stick. And so we see these two villagers. They have like these skull headdresses on. The group comes across him. He manages to escape, and they, I guess, distract the other one, and he kills this one dude. And then after he kills him, our final girl, Jen, feels bad that he kills him and thinks he should not have killed this dude who clearly had bad intentions for him.
Okay, you're fucking up the setup. Okay, so the whole reason that they kill this dude isn't just because they captured him, but because he thinks that they murdered his girlfriend that disappeared. As soon as he murders the guy, the girlfriend shows up and says, I was just taking a piss. And which is kind of hilarious, and it's a good setup, and then the movie pisses it away.
But still, these dudes had him tied up on a stick, bound and gagged. Like, why are you complaining that he just killed this dude that clearly was trying to harm you guys?
No, they were just trying to take him to society.
You don't take someone to society like that. You don't take someone to society like tied on a stick like you're going to.
How many people do you take to society, Zach?
No one has run a pandemic.
Oh, true.
But I don't know. Like, I felt like our lead girls like kind of like this was the one instance in which I sided with Adam. It turns out to bite him in the ass, but like I didn't think he did anything wrong here. These dudes were gonna kill him, for what it seemed like to me. So.
Oh, we were just trying to be your friends. Oh, also, all these villagers sound like the fucking Nords from Skyrim, and it's really annoying.
They do. They do look kind of Skyrim-y.
Yeah.
So they get away, and then as they're running, Mila, Adam's girlfriend, who was taking a piss, falls into like a pit of spikes and pretty much kills herself. She is then finished off with an arrow. Adam just ditches her. Yeah,
she has this whole thing about being left behind. And so yeah, she gets impaled. It kind of sucks. The impalement doesn't kill her. She gets shot with an arrow from one of these hunter guys.
I mean, that impalement was going to kill her. It looked like it was like pretty close to her heart.
Yeah, they could have just left her, but
like, here's the thing: she complains about being left behind when they're running away from this freaking log. Like, I don't know, if you're being like mowed down by like a giant ass log, I don't think he was trying to ditch you. He was trying not to die. Like, I don't know what you can do in that situation. If he's like trying to huddle up and push her, I think you're pretty much both going to be screwed. You kind of need to go your own way when you're, when a giant log is rolling after you. I don't know. I'm not sure what I would have done in that situation. Obviously I would have protect, if I had a significant other, I would protect them. But like, it didn't even look like he ditched her in that scenario. In which
they were all running at the same time.
Yeah, it wasn't clear at all.
No, it would have been funny if he shoved her out of the way so he could get away.
That would have been hilarious.
That would make sense. Yeah. But there's nothing in this movie to bring anyone joy.
I apologize if we're yelling a lot, guys. I try not to yell too much in our episodes. So
we're getting worked out. We're getting worked up about this movie because it sucks.
So Mila's gone. The other guy in the group is gone. So we're down to 3 left already. And there's like an hour and a half left in this movie.
I'm trying to show Zach on my screen that I taught my Animal Crossing person to call people penis wrinkle.
Oh gosh.
So you think I should be saying penis wrinkle? Yup. Thank you. Penis wrinkle is so catchy. I'm big time loving it.
Casey, what are you doing, man? That's an adorable game, and you're just
I'm surprised it's their fault for letting me.
How many dick fireworks have you made in that game?
Oh, I don't know how to make fireworks, so none. No.
Oh, you're missing out.
I need to look that up.
That's like the best feature.
Shit.
Okay, so then the group is taken by the Mountain Men, which we learned their group is called the Foundation, and we get a long ass court scene because that's what you want in a horror movie and a slasher movie. A cult scene.
You were accused of murder, Zach, and did you see who stabbed him or who beat his head? Zach.
Because Alan B. McElroy looked at his original script, which is pretty great, and went, you know what this needs? It's a reboot, a court scene.
You know what my reboot of the silent, kind of mentally challenged, inbred hillbillies needs? A lot more talking. A lot more talking.
So I don't know the name of the leader of the Foundation. So the Foundation.
Oh, his name's Venable.
Venable. Oh God, that's a terrible name. So
you know what? I'm laughing because I know someone with that last name. So yeah.
I'm saying as just the first name, last name, whatever.
Oh no! I think it might be his last name. It's not clear. It's not.
Wait,
clear.
So is this group called the Village or the Foundation? Now I don't even remember.
The Foundation.
Foundation. So the Foundation stems from the Civil War. They were a group that they didn't want to take sides, so they fled to the mountains because they thought the U.S. is going to be destroyed, and so this society was formed. I really don't know the ins and outs of the society.
Yeah, and they're like multicultural, which is like super progressive for that time period. And for the area they're living in now, and they're self-sustaining. They seem like nice people. They just kind of like kill you if you get in their way a little bit. But I mean, come on, who wouldn't want to kill these teenagers?
I mean, I feel like you learn next to nothing about this group. For if they were really trying to emulate Midsummer, that whole movie is about like that cult.
No, you see, society. Zach, we wear the animal bones so that they cannot smell us coming.
So Adam is eventually found guilty. They try to get him out of it. It doesn't work. His face is smashed in. The scene goes on forever.
Yeah, and the smashing is just kind of whatever. I mean, it's all right.
It doesn't look as good as Midsummer, but it's okay.
Zach, you know what I think about fucking the audience out of a crushed skull, right?
Yeah.
It's approaching on fucking territory here. I'm just saying.
All right, so the rest of the group is sentenced to darkness, which is when they have their eyes blinded with like a fire poker, which is pretty nasty, to be fair.
They burn your eyeballs out, so of course they don't show it.
They don't really show it. No.
No.
The one character whose boyfriend was run over by the log is sentenced to darkness. He has had a bad day. That poor guy.
Yeah. He's written horribly. And they treat him like shit the whole movie, and then he just gets his eyes burned out. Also, got to point out, this movie says very explicitly, if you're blind, you should just die. The movie explicitly says this.
Yeah, apparently when you turn blind and have your eyeballs burned out, you just become like a feral, rabid, not human person anymore.
Yeah, and the only way out is getting shot in the head by your friend, and it's a mercy killing.
Yeah, like you could have saved him.
Yeah, could have brought him to a fucking doctor, bitch.
Yeah, he probably could have recovered from that. I mean, I don't think it only been 6 weeks. It only been 6 weeks. I mean, it would have been a shitty 6 weeks, but you could have nursed him back.
And okay, like I understand the final girl making a bad decision because she was through a lot of trauma, a lot of bad stuff happened. Matthew Modine was just there and just watched her do it, just watched her kill her friend.
Yeah, we're jumping we're jumping ahead a little bit, so let's get back to this.
Okay.
So I forget the character's name, but he's sentenced to darkness, his eyes are burned, and he's thrown in this like long ass kind of cavernous jail cell.
I think it's Luis.
Luis? Maybe, yeah.
I think so.
So Jen manages to convince the Venable to spare her and her boyfriend, but screw her other friend. His eyes are gone. So, so they say, we'll join your society. I can bear children for you. He's strong. And Venable goes, all
Yeah,
right.
he's like, she's like, oh, I have all these skills, right? Like, no, she's like, this guy has all these skills, and he's like, all right. And then they're like, what is your skill? And I'm waiting for her to say that she makes a good cup of coffee, because all it says about her in the whole movie is that she's a barista.
That's literally all we find out about this character.
Oh, and she could fix cars for some reason, which never comes into play.
I don't even remember that. Yeah, the original Wrong Turn, cars were a very big part of. They like find this car lot of like, all these cars that were like,
yeah, all the dead people's cars.
Yeah. Nothing like that here. So then we cut to 6 weeks later again, and Matthew Modine again just going around this town, moseying about. He eventually finds someone that's willing to help him, and he meets a couple guys that will take him into the forest. And the way he's dressed to go into this hike to save his daughter, he's wearing like a Patagonia North Face like pullover.
Yeah, he's bright colors. Yeah,
you know, he's got his silver fox hair. He's wearing like A-Team sunglasses.
I do love that they're like, you're a fucking walking target right now. That was a bit of humor in this joyless film.
It's so hilarious. It's like he's from a completely different movie. And you know, this movie could have been saved if they turned the second half of this movie into like Taken, and Matthew Modine pulled like a Liam Neeson here. That would have been like incredible.
His team was just like fucking the guys from Predator going in to fucking murder everyone. Yeah,
because they totally set him up as like this. He's trying to save his daughter, but they set him up as like a total like klutz. Like they can't do anything right.
Oh, and he gets the shit beat out of him by locals first.
It's so weird. Like. He doesn't put up much of a fight at all. He just gets his ass kicked.
And it becomes important that he gets the shit beat out of him by these locals, because it turns out they were trying to help him by kicking his ass.
Yeah. So I just can't get over the way he was dressed to go do.
God, he was dressed like if you go shopping at Crate and Barrel, or like I don't know, like a Pottery Barn, and you see some moms there like buying some nice like jars to do home pickling. That's what he was dressed like. Yeah,
he was dressed to do some home pickling.
And there's a lot of home pickling in this movie, actually. You know?
Oh man. Another miserable podcast, the place to go to hear about home pickling. Okay.
You know, I watched another horror movie that had so much home pickling in it, but I didn't watch the whole thing, so I can't talk about it this week.
So they go into the forest, and these guys that are taking them in immediately are killed in some sort of booby trap. They're like crushed by a box. I don't remember. I know how one of them died. I don't remember what happened to the other one, because there was two.
Well, one fell in the hole, and then the other guy died trying to save him, but the other guy might just still be in the hole.
Yeah, so I guess that's what it was. So one fell in the hole, and then like a box with spikes fell on the other guy, and Matthew Modine looks over and he goes, "Dude, are you all right?" And he's like crushed by this box. Like
you just see arms sticking out. You okay, man?
Like Looney Tunes here. This is like the Roadrunner, you know, and Willie E. Coyote here.
Oh god damn it! I hated this, Zach. Fuck
it's so ridiculous. So then he finds the foundation. It wasn't that hard. They aren't like that hidden. They kidnap him. They punch him. He sees his daughter, and she like pretends she doesn't know him. He's like sentenced to darkness, and then the daughter ends up going to rescue him. And in this 6-week span, she's become Katniss Everdeen. She's become like a sharpshooter with like a bow and arrow.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and we mean sharpshooter. Like she shoots through a helmet, to like the nose hole of an animal skull and kills a guy. Yeah.
So they see if Darius wants to come with them. He's not interested. He had like a little like a few lines earlier in the movie about how he kind of wanted to live in a society like this, where everyone has each other's backs. And I don't know if he's like a communist or what, but like he stays because why not? And they're like, all right, good luck, idiot. So
yeah, with his full ass beard now. You know what? He probably stayed because he's like, shit, if I stay here, I can have a sick beard and no one will say anything about it.
So we get like an overlong escape sequence. The locals from the bar come to help them. Turns out they're just trying to warn the kids from any of this shit.
Yeah, they're like, why were you trying? Why'd you beat the shit out of me earlier? Oh, we was just trying to scare you. See, you know, we figured if we beat the shit out of you, you'd go home.
Yeah, there's a
And
scene where those guys beat up Matthew Modine for a minute and nothing really happens, and so that was why, just to, they could have just told him don't go up there. There's like a scary like cult, but they just
well,
beat
they
him
did
up.
try. They tried that first. Let's be fair. They did tell him not to go up there before they kicked his ass.
But they didn't give him an explicit reason. So they save these kids. A couple of them are killed, but the dad and the daughter get away along with like the main of these locals.
Yeah, all the locals know there's a cult up there, but instead of saying don't go up there, there's a cult that murders people, they just say don't go up there, it's dangerous. The nature will eat your body or something. And it's like, no, dude, fucking nature, come on. I got my North Face hot pink blazer. I got my fucking I got my tech vest from Old Navy on. I could take care of this shit. Nature's got nothing on fucking Old Navy tech vests. And then it's I got performance fleece, bitch. And then it happens. So of course he's gonna think he's got it handled. Maybe if there's a cult, you bring some weapons. Zach, I hate this movie.
It's not good. So let's finish this off.
Please.
We're almost there. Not quite though, because it goes on for like another 30 minutes after they escape. So we get like a flash shoot. I don't know how many weeks later, months later. This is after they've escaped. And our lead character is like taking a new job. Her dad is proud of her, and that's like the last we see of Matthew Modine. He's like on a call going, "I'm proud of you," and that's it. Then she goes to her house. She has like a stepmom. We do know that about her. She has a stepmom that she doesn't necessarily get along with, and she has a few brothers, and I think a younger sister or something, or younger brother maybe. No, she has at least 2 brothers. I don't know. So
yeah,
so she comes home
family.
and she sees Venable, the leader of the cult there, who has said he knows Matthew Modine and he came to like visit. And we get like a sequence where Venable kills her stepmom and her like teenage brother, stabbing them with a knife.
And the movie should have ended there.
Like, I legit thought that might have been real just because of how crazy this freaking movie is. And it might have been better if that actually did happen.
Yeah, I think it would have been better. But it's a True Lies thing.
Yes, yeah. So like, and then she kills him in this dream sequence. And then you go like, and then it was just, you find out it was just, she was just imagining it.
So when I say it's True Lies, I'm talking about how like Arnold imagines himself murdering Bill Paxton in the car, but then he doesn't really do it. And you're like, cause like when he elbows him in the face, you're like, oh shit, what the fuck? And then you're like, oh, that didn't happen.
So he's come because he wants her daughter. And
she's pregnant with his baby.
I don't know what explanation she gives to the stepmom to leave with this person. I don't remember exactly what happens, but she ends up leaving with this person. There's a little girl that you see throughout the movie that's with him that she becomes attached to.
She doesn't give a reason. She just says, hey, can you guys go to the other room? I got to talk to him. And then she's like, I'll leave if you leave this family that I don't like alone.
How did Venable know she was pregnant? Was she pregnant when?
How did Venable know where the fuck she lived?
Yeah, how did he know where she lived?
If he's an off the grid guy with no technology,
he doesn't have a cell phone. He doesn't have a cell phone. How does he know? How did he track her?
Yeah, this makes.
I'm pretty sure they weren't anywhere near the Appalachian Mountains. Like nowhere close.
Did he hire a private detective? How does he have modern clothes all of a sudden?
Yeah. So she goes out with Venable. They go into this RV, and there's a few other people around the RV that don't look like they are a part of the cult at all. But I guess they were.
Yeah, some of them are established.
And then the credits start to roll as this RV drives off, and then the RV crashes. So not over yet. And she gets out of this RV and she stabs a couple of people. She kills them, and then she walks away with the daughter, and that's the end of the movie.
Yeah, so this whole scene that's like the big empowerment scene where she really frees herself and kills all the bad guys and actually wins is over the credits, and you don't see most of it.
I gotta ask you, I had a weird glitch. So the credits start to roll, and then all of a sudden I just saw like flames like on the screen. And then like the last like 5 minutes of the movie started to play again, and I got really confused. Did that happen with you on your rental?
I didn't notice it, but honestly, by that point, I was pretty checked out. I was probably playing Nintendo Switch.
Like I thought there was maybe like a post credit scene.
No,
it was so weird. It was so weird. I don't know if I hit a button on my controller, but I was like, this movie just does not want to die. So that's the Wrong Turn Wrong Turn 2021. Yeah,
Don't watch it.
Don't watch it. You know, oh gosh, like
It takes a lot for a movie to actively make me mad that I spent 2 hours of my life watching it. And by the way, Zach picked this movie.
We needed a new release to cover. We had something else planned for this week. I'll just say
no, it just shows how much you liked the original franchise that you would pick this, right?
I highly recommend checking out the original franchise. They're a lot of fun. The first movie's great. The second one's a lot of fun. I haven't seen the third one in a bit, but I remember getting a kick out of it. And I'm sure and I've definitely saw the fourth one. But I want to watch part 5 and part 6. So Wrong Turn series is close to my heart. So I definitely recommend checking it out. The first one, I just watched it. The first 5 minutes of that movie are better than anything in this reboot. It holds up. It's paced really well.
It's not saying much.
The characters are memorable. It's suspenseful. I think it's
the first 5 minutes in most movies are better than anything in this.
Yeah. I mean, I gave the first Wrong Turn 3.5 stars. I really liked it. This 1.5 tops. Here's the thing. If you're going to reboot the Wrong Turn series, you could have done something interesting. What if you look at the name and you go, let's do it like, you could do it like, Halloween 3, and like every entry in it could be like a different group of kids making a different wrong turn. Maybe one of them ends up in like this kind of abandoned carnival. Maybe one of them ends up in the...
Okay, I was going to say set it in a carnival. That was going to be my answer.
Like you could do something with that like title and turn it into an interesting franchise. I'm just saying, like a cool, maybe it wouldn't be like necessarily super mainstream just because it's kind of a lesser known horror series, but you could do something cool with that. They didn't do that here. They just went Midsummer and, tried to make Midsummer out of it. That's
what if it was Wrong Turn 7, Right Turn?
Yeah.
And they get exactly where they want, and it's still scary.
Yeah. I mean, this was just disappointing because Wrong Turn it's a goofy franchise, but it's fun. And this was just not fun. It was unintentionally funny, but it wasn't. That's not what you want.
It was devoid of fun or joy, even at the suffering of others.
Watch the original. Watch Wrong Turn 2. It's really campy. It's great. Henry Rollins is in it. It's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, dude, love Henry Rollins. Come on.
So
come on.
I
read his poetry.
Watch any of the direct-to-video sequels. Watch the original.
Black Flag is the shit. Listen to some Black Flag instead of watching.
They're good movies. So that is Wrong Turn 2021. So,
God damn it. You know what? I needed the taste out of my mouth, Zach, and I know you have a Don't Cross the Streams. I just wanted to get to one really quickly.
Yeah, so let's do this. So we got some streaming recommendations for you. So this is Don't Cross the Streams.
All right, something Twinkie. All right. So I watched Edge of the Axe on Shudder because it's a 1998 movie that looks like a slasher movie at first glance. And
I saw the poster of it. It looks cool.
Yeah, it does until you watch it. No, there were some decent kills in there. It feels more like a giallo than a slasher movie, because it kind of is. But yeah, it's got a lot of weird computer stuff in it and some weird cases of like identity and like trying to get a bunch of plot twists together at the end and kind of throw you for some loops.
Yeah.
But I gave it a solid 2-ski. I think it's competent. It's well enough made. It was actually like, it was kind of fun because the locale was like Northern California town, and you don't see that a whole lot. Or actually, no, it was more like Central California, because they keep referencing Patterson, which is a real town. But yeah, it was an experience. I wouldn't say like it was great. I basically started watching it because I'm like, oh, dude, it's an 80s slasher movie I haven't seen, which is how you get me to watch a movie.
Yeah.
If it's an 80s slasher movie that I haven't seen, I'm going to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
But not as much a slasher movie. But yeah, it had its moments. Then I started and I watched most of Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker. That's a weird fucking movie, man. Yeah, I didn't finish it, so I can't give a full review on it, but I'm like, kind of weird. Both of these are on Shudder, so you have a more in-depth one to talk about.
Yes,
So
I
what
do.
what did you watch, Zach?
So this released on Shudder, got earlier, like last month, I think. It's called Lucky, directed by Natasha Kermani, written by and starring Brea Grant. You've seen Brea Grant in a lot of horror releases. She was in Dexter. She was in, oh gosh, I forget the name of this movie every time. Beyond the Gates. Here we go.
Yeah, okay, Beyond the Gates, fun movie.
Great ass theme song is the main thing I'll say about Beyond the Gates. I love the theme song of the movie.
Plus, that was the one that was shot in Black Cat, right? In
Yeah,
Burbank?
yeah.
Yeah.
But Brea Grant, she's been in a bunch of different things, a bunch of series, horror franchises. She is great in this. This is a movie. It's very much a 2021. It's about a self-help author named May
Yeah.
Ryer. She has just written a book called like Go It Alone, and she's kind of trying to do some press for it and get her new book greenlit. And all of a sudden, one night, she has a husband. She sees an intruder outside her house in like a mask, and she tells her husband, and her husband goes, she's like, "Who is that?" And he's like, "Hun, that's the man that tries to kill us every night." She's like, "What?" And so that's kind of the movie. This dude kind of breaks into their house and tries to kill them every night.
She wrote this movie.
Yeah, she wrote it. So
cool.
It's one of those films that you're like never quite sure what's going on and what's reality and what's not reality.
Okay, but like in a good way or a bad way? Because that can go either way.
Kind of in between, because you kind of feel like foggy the whole time. You're never quite sure if this is like actually happening, like if this is reality, because it just comes out of nowhere. There's no like event that triggers this person showing up and it repeating. Okay. So she gets in a fight with her husband, kind of a random fight. Like a know nothing fight, and he just like needs some space, so he leaves and he's like, "I'll be back when the killer comes back," but then he like doesn't come back until like
what the fuck? I'll be back when the killer comes. Jesus Christ!
Yeah, so he doesn't come back for a bit, but this killer is like a total pushover. She kicks his ass like every time he comes. She kills him multiple times, and the thing is, after like every time there's like a scuffle or she kills him, she'll like look away and look back, and the killer is gone. There'll like be blood on the floor. There'll be blood on the floor, but he's like disappeared.
This sounds fun now. Yeah,
it's interesting. So this movie is pretty much it's very much a social commentary.
It feels like this should be a skit and scare package instead of its own movie.
It's not really played for laughs.
Oh,
it's very much not played for laughs. So
I stand corrected.
But it's very much like a social commentary on just the struggle and plight that women kind of continue to face, even in a post Me Too world. Mm-hmm. She's constantly being talked down to and patronized.
Which I think that's a good, like a slasher movie is a good basis to examine that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's certainly a condemnation of violence against women. It's, how they're still fighting for equal footing in the workplace. Like she's a very successful author and she's still it still feels like she's not taken seriously by a lot of people, even though she has like fans, she's constantly, every time she has a run-in with this serial killer, she calls the cops and she's constantly just told how lucky she is that, she was awake or that she got away. She's like, one of her sister-in-law like tells her she's so brave for like staying in the house and fighting this like guy every night. So she's just she's constantly sort of like condescended towards, and
it sucks because like I love how ridiculous this premise is, but you're making it sound like it kind of sucks.
It clearly has a message that is trying to get across, and I think that's my main issue with this movie, is that I feel like the social commentary sort of interferes with the plot, because you're never really sure that I don't really want to spoil it, because it can't really get into what's the message is fully without kind of spoiling it, and I don't want to spoil it because you haven't seen it.
Yeah, and plus this is like just on Shudder.
This is not what I would call a Casey movie, but I do think it's worth watching. It's hard to talk about. It's very much about the plight that women still face every day, that the language they face, the conversation they face, just trying to have to justify their successes, justify their just day-to-day comings and goings. It's about what they have to deal with in relationships, the threat of, violence and assaults that and how like that's just kind of how the way things are, and they have to deal with this every day. And her kind of message, I think, as a character is, we have to deal with our shit and deal with the our personal kind of demons and plights, and the book she's hawking in this movie is called Go It Alone, so I think that'll give you a hint as to kind of her character's mindset. And she kind of has this fight with her boyfriend, and she can't get a hold of him for like most of the movie, and she didn't really do anything wrong. There is a backstory, like she cheated on him about a year ago because she thought the relationship was ending, and so there's that's kind of weighing on her. It's an interesting balance, and I feel like the message, I don't know if it's quite nailed home to me. I kind of like where they end it, but I feel like they kind of are circling around this theme, and the message they're trying to get across isn't quite as pointed as it could have been. If that makes sense.
So quick spoiler warning. Spoiler warning. I want to play Guess the Movie.
Yeah.
The killer's the guy that she cheated with.
No, the killer is nobody. Like, I mean, there's a killer, but like the identity is
not important.
It's not really important, and that there's kind of a reveal. You do see his face, and I'm not going to say anything else because that's the reveal of that is sort of part of the message of the movie.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, this is really, I think this would be like a good double feature with like Promising Young Woman. It feels like very much made for that audience. And I think that's an audience. I think that should be like everybody in this day and age. I think everyone should. Promising Young Woman's great flick. Definitely check it out. And I think this is an important kind of movie to watch. It's just interesting to see that perspective and that point of view. And it's just about the struggle, and especially the struggle that women are facing, and still to just kind of be treated fairly,
Sorry, there's a very loud truck backing up outside my house for some reason.
Yeah, they're still fighting for equal pay. I mean, that's ridiculous in this day and age. It should have happened 100 freaking years ago. So like, in the wake of the woman in London that was just murdered kidnapped and murdered by a police officer, horrible. In the wake of that, still, that still stuff is still going on, and this movie, its message is very much about that threat and that still going on, and still like just that they have to put up with this shit, and that's kind of what the movie is about, just the shit that they have to put up with every day. That's really what the message is. And this word lucky is used kind of in a derogatory, patronizing way to women in this movie, to Brea Grant's character. And I think it's a really interesting social commentary as like a film, like as the plot. It's hard because the whole movie almost feels like is this sort of a dream sequence. It's not really. It's just kind of, it's very like a metaphorical sort of film. What's going on? This, there's some fun like blood and gore effects, but that's just like window dressing, really. It's not like a scary film. It's really about the message, and I think it's a good message, and I think it could have been driven home a little more, is what I'm saying. But I did enjoy this. I would give it about 3 stars. So if you want a thinker, I think this is a great movie for couples to watch, actually. I think it'd be a fun one because it's one of those movies that you just want to talk about. It's one of those movies you leave that you kind of want to talk about with your significant other or your friend that you watch it with. It's because it's a thinker in a way. So I would check it out. Brea Grant, she's also done some directing. I think she directed a movie called 12-Hour Shifts that came out last year.
See, that sounds like a horror movie because 12-hour shifts are terrible.
Yeah. So, but I'm excited to see what else Brea Grant works on. I think she did a really great job with this, and the acting is fantastic. Definitely check it out. Really well made. There's some really awesome shots in here as well by Natasha Kermani. So that is Lucky. It's available on Shudder. Shudder always puts out great stuff, and so we'll definitely be covering more of that. So before we end things today, we got a bit of a shorter episode for you. I kind of wanted to talk about the sort of future of the podcast moving forward, and kind of the...
We quit. Bye, everyone.
No. We have some exciting kind of stuff to announce. So we did a poll recently on Twitter. we kind of just wanted to kind of get an idea of what you guys wanted to see from us moving forward, because we do reviews and we do kind of theme shows like our Dracula episodes. Sometimes we do retrospective shows where we talk about older movies. We've done like our another Misbo retrospective series, which we're kind of retconning a bit, and I'll get into that. But we do commentaries, we do gift guides, which I consider like a theme show. So we like to do different things. That's kind of one of the things we hold our hat on. We like to be like a variety horror podcast. Kind of our philosophy here is a lot of horror podcasts, and this is nothing against them, they're all fantastic, but a lot of them just focus on one movie an episode. And I think that's something we kind of want to circumvent, because I think for me, the issue with that is if it's a movie you're not really interested in at all, you're not going to tune in. And so that's kind of how we've tried to sort of navigate around that, is we always want to find things in our episodes that you might be interested in. We cover a couple topics, but we also like to do deeper dives into things as well. So we're trying to kind of balance that. So with the results of the poll, you guys themed episodes won out. You guys want to see more episodes like that. And you also want to see more retrospectives. So I put my thinking cap on and talked to the boys here. And we have decided that henceforth, probably starting in maybe April officially, we are going to make sure one episode a month is a review of a new release. So that'll be what we're calling our feature scares. And I'm also going to make sure that those feature scares are movies that all of us have seen, because I know for a while, like episodes where all three of us had seen a movie was kind of rare. So I'm going to make sure that do our best that our feature scares we've all seen the movie, because I think the reviews are better if it's something we've all seen and all contribute and have our all perspectives. I think we want to strive for that as much as possible. So feature scares will be one episode a month. We'll have new releases, cover new releases, and we'll also have our recurring segments in those episodes. So like Don't Cross the Streams, if there's just some other things we've been watching we want to recommend. Casey Makes Zach Watch Trauma will be in those episodes. Any other segments that we workshop, we might have a segment with like horror merch coming up that Casey's going to do. Chris's classic horror corner will also be in those new release episodes. So one episode a month is going to be devoted to reviewing new releases. And then the second episode every month will be dedicated to either a themed show or a retrospective, where retrospectives from now on are going to be where we cover just like an older release and kind of do a deeper dive into it than we would if, say, like we're doing it on Don't Cross the Streams and just mentioning what we've been watching. A retrospective will be like a deeper dive into an older release, or commentaries potentially, or other kind of special episodes like gift guides, things like that, anything we kind of feel like doing. But one episode a month is going to be dedicated to like theme stuff. And we're going to make sure we want to involve you guys a lot more as well. So we are going to have like polls. We're going to put a lot more polls on Twitter.
Themes.
Yeah. Vote on the themes, vote on retrospectives. Maybe we'll even do vote on like new releases, reviews as well, because there's going to be a lot that comes out. With this new format, we probably won't be able to cover quite as much as we usually do. We are only allowed to do, we only have time to do 2 episodes a month at this juncture. So, but we want to involve you guys a lot more. So definitely stay tuned to that. Make sure you're following us on Twitter under Another Miserable Podcast. But yeah, I really think the structure is going to help us a lot forward. You guys will know what to expect from us. And we're going to give you more of what you want. We're going to do a lot more themed episodes. We're definitely going to do a Frankenstein show coming up pretty soon.
Soon, yes. I look forward to it.
That'll probably be our next theme, and then we will do a vote. So at least I would say, if not April, May, we'll have a poll for probably the next theme, or maybe we'll do a poll for the next review, but probably for the next like theme or retrospective. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, so we got new artwork coming out soon, which I'm excited to show you all. Yeah, good times, guys. Thank you for participating in the poll. If you participated, we really have big things in store. We are going to put together a new website that'll happen at some point this year, whenever I'm allowed to, whenever I can get to it, I should say. But yeah, I'm really excited for the future of Another Miserable Podcast, Horror Decomposed. I think we have good stuff in store for you guys. And I think the structure is really going to help us out a lot. And
as the world opens, some of those themed episodes might be the shit that we're doing and going places. But, you know, we got to wait for that. That's something I miss doing. So, so that is the future of Another Miserable Podcast. Thank you for tuning in to hear us put a pummeling on this poor movie. But you know, sometimes it had
happens,
it coming.
Guys. Sometimes that
much
happens.
much like the teenagers in this movie, or well, the young adults in this movie. it had it coming, Zach.
Yeah. And another thing, guys, we also want to have more guests on this show. We're trying to settle into this new structure and this new format. And once that happens, we're definitely going to bring on more guests. Our friend Kevin is coming on next month to do Godzilla versus Kong, but we're hoping to get directors and actors and all sorts of stuff that we'd love to do some interviews at some point. So when we're prepped and ready to go for that, hopefully you can look forward to that. So
yeah, Kev is like a certified Godzilla expert.
Yeah,
he's
bringing out the big guns.
Earned his stripes. Yes.
Anyway, Casey, where can they find you on the social media?
Find me at Lucha Gringo on Twitter and Letterboxd, and hey, PS5. But also, tell me that you're a listener of the show on PS5. I've been getting a bunch of weirdos that try to give me like a close friend invite, and I don't know if you're just some weirdo from Fortnite or one of our listeners. So tell me who you are, or I will not accept that friend request.
And again, you can follow our official account on Twitter.com under Another Miserable Podcast. You can also subscribe to us on YouTube under Another Miserable Podcast, or any podcast streaming service that you listen to us. Please subscribe to us. You can follow my personal Twitter account under twitter.com/earth2Zach. So Earth2Zach, Z-A-K. You can also find me on Instagram under the exact same name. I posted a little story on there the other day, I should have posted it on Twitter as well, but kind of on in between weeks for the podcast, I kind of threw out just a little horror movie suggestion for you guys to watch this weekend. It was, it's been like a rainy day kind of week. So I wanted to just throw out something since we don't have an episode this week. So if you did follow me on there, the movie I recommended was Joyride, which came out in 2001. Really great thriller with Paul Walker, Steve Zahn.
Andy Kane.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. They don't really make them like that anymore. And it came out 20 years ago. But it's definitely it's a really fantastic thriller. I have not seen any of the direct-to-video sequels, but so if you want to follow me on Instagram, I'll probably try and put those up on Twitter as well. But I might try and do that on in between weeks, just kind of throw out like a random horror movie suggestion for you guys on weekends, just so you have some kind of content from us. All right. And also, please leave us a review. If you enjoy what we do, please leave us a nice review on Apple Podcasts. Say some kind words about us, or at least about Casey and Chris. You don't have to say anything kind about me. But it would really, really help us out. I would really appreciate it. So please.
Yeah, help us out. It helps people find us. At least tell a friend, hey, I listened to this podcast. Yeah. Listen to it too. That helps even more. So do that, please. Yeah,
so please consider leaving us a nice review. We will be back by the end of this month. There will be another episode that comes out this March. I promised you guys that. I will stick to that promise. Chris will be back with us. I'm not sure what the next episode this month will be. That new format I talked about. I don't know if we will have a themed episode. That kind of requires a little prep time, so I don't know if we'll be able to do that next month. It might just be another review episode, but starting April, we will have a theme in April for you. So, yeah. But maybe it'll be this month. We'll see. I'll talk to the guys. I don't know. But stay tuned for that, guys. Thank you for joining us. As always, have an awesome weekend. Have an awesome week. Stay safe. We're getting out of this pandemic soon. We will see you next time on another Miserable Podcast.